All right, all right. We are live. We are live now, everybody. Let's see what we got here going on. Let me refresh this page. Frank, how you doing tonight, Frank? How's everybody doing? Vanessa, how we doing, Vanessa? How's everybody doing?
I'm out home.
We're going to do something different tonight, everybody. So when we get a couple people on, we're going to start a little bit tonight. We're going to do something totally different. So just give it a little time. So how's everybody enjoying their night? Staying warm, I hope. Everybody all right? Let me turn the volumes off on that one. Okay, here we go. Oh, Nyla's home tonight. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody hear me all right? Uh-oh, there goes the dogs. Here goes the dogs. Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do something different tonight while we wait for people to get online. So we're getting some feedback here. I'm going to start off with this disclaimer here. Unfiltered with James Feeney is created solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The views and opinions expressed by the host, James Feeney, and any guests are their own and do not represent any organization, employer, or affiliate, past or present. Nothing discussed on this podcast should ever be interpreted as professional, legal, medical, or expert advice. Listeners are strongly encouraged to verify information independently and qualified professional guidance when necessary. This show is intentionally raw, direct, and unapologetic. If that makes you uncomfortable, this may not be the podcast for you to listen to. Listen at your own risk. Okay, everybody. So since we're going to do something different tonight, you know, everybody always has something to say and criticize me about. So I'm going to start tonight's podcast off with a song. So I want everybody to just sit back and enjoy this song for a quick minute, and let's see how this goes. Let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear it? Hold on a second. Let me get it going, people. Oh, wrong way.
You, Momo.
I'm no good at these buttons. Can you hear it? Coming through?
to the youth. But talk is cheap and words don't last. I let my work speak for my past. Can't keep me down, I still stand tall, even when my back's against the wall. Lost some friends when times got tough, but the ones that stayed are more than enough. They try to bend me, but I won't break. I pay no mind to the noise they make. I keep my head, I hold my ground. Ain't no man gonna knock me down. They can swing, but I won't flinch. I was built for times like this, so talk your shit, but be aware.
This is going to be our official theme song, so everybody knows.
They can drag my name through the dirt. It won't stop me, I've been through worse. Every scar is a lesson learned, and every bridge was made to burn. They try to bend me, but I won't break. I pay no mind to the noise they make. I keep my head, I hold my ground. Ain't no man gonna knock me down. They can swing, but I won't flinch. I was built for times like this. So talk your shit, but be aware. I don't care.
Perfect song.
Okay, everybody. Like I said, that's the going to be the official theme song for the podcast show, so everybody knows. I don't care. All right. Just so you know, that's going out to everybody who's ever criticized us, who's always talked trash about us. That goes to everybody who's always said that we couldn't do anything, who's tried to talk down to us. So that's going to be part of what tonight's show is all about. So let's get started here. So who do we have out here tonight? Deb, how you doing? Melinda, how you doing, dear? Matthew, how you doing, Matthew? I hope everybody's having a good night today. Staying warm, hopefully. I hope I'm coming through okay for everybody to hear. Let's see how this is going. All right. So there's a couple things I want to talk about tonight. One of the things I want to talk about was tonight's topic was going to be, is it lazy ass workers or is it just a lazy ass administration here? I have a problem with this that's going on in this community here, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware of this. From what I understand and from what I'm told by people is, if there's a snow day, so to speak, because the weather's real bad lately, and let's say City Hall is closing down, and they want to tell everybody stay home. So if the mayor's telling everybody you're staying home, they have to pay everybody for staying home. The employees don't have to use a vacation day. That's from my understanding. Okay. So if they don't have to use vacation day, they're getting a free day off, and it's on the taxpayers' money, from my understanding. So my problem is, you have the employees who work in the office that can't drive to the office, that sit in a heated office because it's too hazardous for them to drive to work. So let's say some of them might live in Brecksville, Independence, Valley View, Aurora, Avon, wherever they live, okay? They're saying that it's too dangerous for them to drive to work because of the road conditions. So they're telling them to stay home. and don't come in, and they're getting a free day off, and they get paid for this, and they're not using their vacation time, from my understanding. I'm going to double check on this, but every time I ask a question with the law department, I have to put in a public records request. It takes forever to get an answer. So I think that's horseshit. So our police department, our first responders, our paramedics, our police department, our service department, they have to still come in and do their job, no matter how dangerous the roads are. Okay, mind you, by the way, the snowplows are out there day and night. The police department is out there day and night driving around in these hazardous conditions. So you're saying it's hazardous for the people to come in and sit in a heated office behind a desk. All they have to do is drive from point A to point B and come in and sit behind a desk. And it's too hazardous for them, but yet you expect our law enforcement officers to drive around all day in the same conditions? Something is not right here, okay? It is totally wrong. So you're telling the employees to stay home in their house because, oh, it's too bad for you to drive around outside. That's totally wrong. Get their asses out of the house, get them into the office and do their job. That's what they're getting paid for by the taxpayers. Get in the office, do your job. Plain simple. Stop looking for an excuse to not go to work and not do your job and, you know, getting free pay from the taxpayers. Stop this already. Enough's enough. So you expect our first responders to risk their lives by driving around in 2-3 feet of snow, 2 feet of snow, and on icy roads and daily during this kind of conditions. But yet you don't expect the people sitting in an office to drive around. It's just, something is totally wrong here, people. Okay? It is not right. Get them out there, get them off their ass, and let them do their job. Plain and simple. I mean, we're paying for this, and they have to come out and do it. Okay? It's just not right at all. These people are just, I think, looking for an excuse to get out of work. And the administration is allowing them to get out of work by not having to show up for work. And as long as we keep allowing this to happen, they're going to just keep doing it. So we have to start holding them accountable. And I've been saying this for the longest time. Hold these people accountable. Make them do their jobs. It's just, we just cannot keep letting them get away with this. Plain simple. So chime in and tell me, what do you think? You know, why can't, Eric says, why can't they work from home? I'm sure they can do it. You know, Eric, I've said that. Why can't the law department work from home? Why can't the secretaries do their jobs from home? You know, whether they're working from home or not, I'm not sure, Eric. I doubt if they are. But the point is, if you expect our police officers to drive around in the icy conditions, the least they can do is get off their ass and drive to work and sit in a heated office. They're sitting in an office. They don't have to, they're going from point A to point B. It's not like they're driving around all day. That's the whole point. They are sitting in a heated office all day long. Plain simple. So if they can't drive and do their job to earn their money from the taxpayers, what good are they? They have to be able to do something. This free time off, I don't know how many times they do this. You know, I mean, every time you call in and the mayor shuts down and stuff like that, whatever the case may be. You know, it's just not right. So let's say the mayor shuts down and the city workers stay home, the office people, let's say they stay home. So nobody shows up. Nobody's there. So what happens to those seniors who go to the building and rely on those meals, the breakfast and the lunch? Who's going to feed them those 2 meals? Let's say they shut down 2 days because of the cold. Who's going to feed them those meals when they rely on those 2 meals? There's so many variables involved with this. You think they actually are considering this? Do they care? I don't think they actually pay attention to this. So there's a lot of things more involved with this. Another thing is, did they have, did they open up for people to go for warming stations anywhere in this city? I haven't heard of any. I've known of people who experienced power outages and had no heat. And this is some serious cold weather. So having a warming station would help if there was 1 or 2 or 3 in this community. I don't know. So you just can't shut down a whole city because, oh, you feel bad for them driving from point A to point B to go sit in a heated office all day. And you expect your first responders to drive around on icy roads. Today, a police officer was in front of my house today, and he was waiting for a tow truck to show up to remove a vehicle that was parked totally illegal. Totally illegal. I went outside and I gave him a bottle of water and I thanked him. How many people are doing this in this community? How many people go outside and thank these police officers when they see them? When you see them in a store, when you see them at McDonald's or whatever. What does Kim say? Garfield is the only city that takes off because of weather. Normal employees work daily, including the post office, UPS, and FedEx. You know, Kim, you're right. Everybody I know of works. Can you imagine if doctors canceled? Oh, I'm not going to do your loved ones or your kids' open heart surgery today because the roads are too icy. I'm not coming into the hospital. Oh, I'm not going to give you your chemo treatment today because the roads are too icy and I don't want to drive into work today. Can you imagine if everybody used that excuse? It's appalling. It's disgusting. Get off your ass. So that's what my topic's about. Lazy ass workers or just a lazy ass administration? So it's your call. The Fair Labor Act says exempt employees must be paid by the city, but hourly employee must use, I missed that one, must use PTO time. Why not let them come in? You know, Vanessa, it's make them come in, plain simple. Deb says, I drove 25 miles one way to get, and I left early, 7:50 in the morning. I said, you know, I agree. I mean, if anybody says anything different, I would have to beg to, argue with them on this because, you're right that no work ethics. So is it, am I right? Is it a lazy ass employee or is it the lazy ass administration? Bert should have his home as a warming station, if they knew where he lived. But what is it? Give me your advice, people. I mean, chime in here. Is it the employee or is it the administration? I mean, can you blame the employee if they're told to stay home? Let me know. Tell me what you guys think over there. Chime on in over there, okay? Let me know what you think here. Because I think it's both. I think it's mostly the administration because they're the ones telling the employees to stay home. Just like the schools. The schools give the kids the day off, but yet the kids are running around in the snow, wreaking havoc, causing problems. There was a school up in Michigan that gave the kids the day off, and they went outside for the day protesting ice, holding up signs, protesting ice. So I'm like, wait a minute, you got the day off of school because of the weather, but yet you're outside and you're holding up signs and you're protesting about ice. Now, what the hell kind of sense is this? You're out there protesting, but yet they give you the day off of school. Now, if I was at school, I would never give these kids another day off, because you're giving them time off because you feel bad. You don't want them walking to school or whatever, but then they're outside protesting. So chime in here, people. Let me know what you think. Something is wrong. Am I the only one that sees that something is not right here? You know, I don't think it's right. Because what if our police department turns around and says, "Oh, if the city administration's shutting down, we're all getting the flu today. We're not coming in, and we have no police officers driving the streets." So you're asking them to risk their lives, and I'm sorry to say it. I think everybody's life is important. Don't get me wrong, because I know it's going to run out there. Somebody's going to twist these words around big time. I'm going to strictly say it. Every life is important. Every life. But, there's a but there, everybody. There's a little but at the end. Okay? Every life is important, but I personally think that the police officers deserve a little bit more attention than the secretary sitting in the building, in a heated building with their feet up behind the desk. Plain simple. Man, the scanner's going off like crazy. I don't know if you can hear it over there. So, if you expect our police officers to drive around all day in this icy, nasty weather, the least you can do is have your secretaries and service, building department people or whatever come in and do their turn. That's the least you can do. Stop giving people time off to do nothing. Because I guarantee it, they didn't sit at home. They probably went out grocery shopping, went sledding with their kids if they have kids or grandkids. They didn't sit at home. They went out and did stuff. Oh, I got free time off. I might as well get my grocery shopping done now. Oh, I got time off. I might as well go get my haircut done now. Make them do something. Make them earn the taxpayer's dollar. So, leader is to blame. You know, Eric, it is the leader. The leader, you lead by action. Yes, if you are lazy, your employees, you know, Eric, you are 100% right on this. The leader has no backbone. We all know this. We all know this. So, is it the lazy ass worker or is it the lazy ass employee? Is it the administration? Is it the administration that looks for an excuse not to go to work himself? Hazel's right. If he lives on Granger, where they say he lives, right around the corner from us, you could walk from his house to the mayor's office in less than 10 minutes, even in this snowy condition. You could walk there in 10 minutes. So you can't say shut the whole place down. So you're shutting the city down. You got to remember, you're shutting the whole city down, people. And that's the bad part. You can't keep shutting a city down for senseless stuff. Now, I could see when Clover was in office, they had that big water break in the building and you had no water. That was kind of an emergency, and you know, you kind of like, uh-oh, what are we going to do? You couldn't have no bathrooms, and you can't operate a building without the bathrooms. I understand that. It would have took time to bring porta potties in and stuff like that. I mean, I understand that. Okay? But this is something that's, you know, you're just driving from point A to point B. That day, we went out in that snow and drove around. Yeah, the roads were kind of screwed up. I admit that. The roads were screwed up. Okay? What's Matthew say? That's because he is not dedicated to the city when we all... Yeah, he is not. Deb, police and fire do not get paid enough to do their job, period, especially in Garfield. You know what? You're right. Maybe he's at, Frank, maybe he's at the casino. You know what, Frank? I have no idea. Could have been. Matt, stop that. James Feeney. No, not Matt. You know, that's a dead horse right there, buddy. You know, that's done. Susan, how you doing tonight? So we can't, we just can't keep looking for excuses to keep shutting the whole community down is what I'm saying. Have them come to work, because if our first responders have to do their job and they have to drive that, and I felt bad because when I was out driving around that day, the roads were really shitty, big time. I saw our police officers out there. I saw our snow plows. I saw the pickup trucks with the snow plows out there. So everybody else is out there. I see the senior citizens out there shoveling their driveways, which broke my heart. Everybody else is out there in the snow doing what they're supposed to be doing or doing what they think they have to do. But yet our city employees are staying at home getting paid by the taxpayers. That's the problem. So if you think that's a problem, please keep writing on there on this webpage here. Let me know the problems that you guys see. And I appreciate you guys turning in tonight to this. And this is going to lead us to our next topic here. Once I get this computer here going. Let me get my glasses on so we can read this one. All right. I had two subjects I wanted to talk about. The other subject I wanted to talk about was very interesting here. Let me see here. Where we at? Okay. This one goes back to when Vanessa and I and Haysho, Matthew was helping us, and a bunch of other people were helping us campaign. Once again, I want to thank Cousin Cigars on Chagrin for my cigars. Shop Cousin Cigars for some of the finest cigars you're going to find in the area here. Cousin Cigars on Chagrin Road. Thank you very much. You guys always provide me with some of the greatest selection of cigars. Cousin Cigars on Chagrin Road. Thank you very much. But this goes to my next topic here I want to talk to everybody about. When we were out campaigning, Vanessa and I with Haysho and a couple other people, Matthew was out there, and we were walking around talking to people. Everybody knows I'm going to be as honest as I can. And I put out there on my pages before the clip with Scarface, because everybody knows Scarface is one of my favorite characters. I have t-shirts, I have posters, Scarface and stuff. And there's a scene in the movie of Scarface where a restaurant scene, he tells everybody, and he says, you know, say hello to the bad guy, and this is the only time you're going to see a bad guy that looks like this, you know. And then he says a quote, and I really like the quote in this movie. He says in the movie, I always tell the truth even when I lie. Now, that line really sticks to me, you know. I always tell the truth even when I lie. So this brings me to my next question here. My next thing I wanted to talk about. Why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunities? So I just did some research here on this. So the question is, and chime in if you guys have an idea, you know, if you want to throw in your opinions, throw it in there. The question is, why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunity? That's the question. So throw in your opinions, throw it up there. Let me know what you think, and then I'll go through some of the answers that I come up with. Say hello to the bad guy. You got that right, Sue. Susan. You people mention my name, and that's what they assume, the bad guy. Anybody who don't know me knows they think of me that way. So, but the question is, why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunity? That's the question we're going to discuss right now. So if you have any thought on that one or any answers, throw it up there, people. Throw it up there and let's see what you have to say. Let me just lean over here for a second. I gotta just grab something, a pen. I'll be right there. Okay, had to grab a pen with my little stylus ball. So that's the question. Why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunities? What do you got there, Matt? I'm not honest. You guys were shaking my hand. I'm the mayor. Matt. Mayor Matt. There you go, buddy. There you go. Okay, so here's what we got here. This is what I was coming up with when I did some looking around. Let me get my reading glasses here, people. Okay. Because honesty has a price tag, and society doesn't always put truth on sale. Let me say that again. Because honesty has a price tag, and society doesn't always put truth on sale. That's a powerful statement, people. That's a very powerful statement. Okay? So the question was, why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunity? Because honesty has a price tag, and society doesn't put truth on sale. Okay? And here's what's really going on. Honesty threatens comfort. That's down to the bone. Honesty threatens comfort. A lot of friendships, workplaces, and even families are built on unspoken agreements. Don't rock the boat. Don't name the awkward thing. Don't challenge the story we tell ourselves. When you're honest, you break the contract. People feel exposed or unsafe, not because you're wrong, but because comfort just got disturbed. Now, being honest, you know, we're raised, my parents always said honesty is the best policy. Would you guys agree with that? Honesty is the best policy. You heard that. Everybody heard that. Honesty is the best policy. Unless you're running for politics. That is the truth. Honesty is the best policy unless you're running for politics. I don't know what you're talking about. I was an AI robot. Honesty is the best policy unless you're running for politics. Then you got to lie your ass off. It's just that the unspoken truth. That's like a hard pill to swallow, you know, guys. People want to be honest. They just want to be liked, plain simple. So being honest is going to cost you friends to like you. If you're honest, people are not going to like you, plain simple. Like today on the crime page, somebody made a comment. I made a post about the police officers, and you know, if you don't break the law, they ain't going to bother you. And somebody made a post about it, saying I don't know, or I wouldn't know because I've never experienced it. I don't know, but seeing that who I am, yeah, pretty much, this lady made it into a racial thing. And so my response to her was, look, I have friends who work for the FBI. I have friends who work for Marshal Services. I have friends who are in the police department. I have friends who work for the state troopers. So I gave her a whole list of friends I have and all the agencies they work for. And I told her, I said, they all will not bother you if you're following the law. And she's trying to tell me that they will just stop you just because they want to stop you. And she's saying, I will never understand that. So my response was, because I'm white. And that's what she's trying to say. Because I'm white, that I'll never understand that. And yes, she was a black lady. Okay, plain simple. So that's what she's trying to tell me. So I'm not going to get in this big argument about anything racial with her. She's going to think what she wants to think, and I'm going to just know the facts, because all my friends who are in law enforcement, I know for a fact, never stopped anybody. A lot of my friends who are African American that are in law enforcement, and the white people who are in law enforcement, don't stop you unless you're breaking the law. Plain simple. That's just the truth. So, honesty is the best policy? Yes, it is. For the most part, just for some people just rather lie to you, and they feel better by lying to you. Speak the truth. Yeah, you're right, Susan. Speak the truth. Anybody who knows that's dealt with me knows I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm going to be as truthful as possible. It's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to sting. But if you're going to deal with me, you're going to deal with the way it is. So honesty is the best policy unless you're going to be a politician. What else did it say here? People feel exposed or unsafe by telling the truth. Comfort just got disturbed. So you think when you being honest, does it bring people out of their comfort zone? So who feels uncomfortable? The person who's being honest, or the person you're being honest to? Who is being uncomfortable? People don't want to face their own truth. Vanessa, you are 100% right. And we know that personally, Vanessa. You tell people the way it is, and they will attack you and do anything they can to make you look bad. We know that for a fact. So when you're telling somebody the truth, who is feeling uncomfortable? You, the person who's telling that person the truth, or the person you're telling the truth to? Let me know what you think. I think the person you're telling the truth to is the one feeling uncomfortable, in my opinion. So let's say if I'm telling my buddy Frank something and it's truthful and it hurts his feelings, and it's making him feel uncomfortable, does him feeling uncomfortable make me feel uncomfortable? That's a good question, I think. You know, that's something to think about. But yeah, I mean, like in the city administration, do you think the city council and the mayor deliberately lie to the residents just to make the residents feel comfortable, or do they lie to the residents to make themselves feel comfortable? What do you think about that, people? Do they lie to them? Do they lie to the residents to make themselves feel comfortable, or do they lie to the residents to make the residents feel comfortable? I believe they lie to the residents to make themselves feel comfortable, not the residents. I think they've been lying to the residents for so long that they don't know the truth themselves. Frank says both. Frank, I think that's I think it's like maybe a 60-40 there, Frank. I wouldn't say a 50-50. I would say 60-40. But yeah, I think it's both. It could be both ways also. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Frank. You're right. But I think they've been lying so long that they can't tell the truth anymore. I don't think they could distinguish between lies and truth. You know, I mean, that's the problem. That you've been lying to yourself for so long that your lies are now truth to yourself. When you lie that long, you believe your own lies. That is a problem. Wheelie Poppin has been saying that for a long time, that people have been lying for so long that their own lies they believe are truth now. So when you look up in the sky and you see a clear skies and it's all blue, and you've been telling yourself for the longest time that it's a purple sky, you're starting to believe that it's a purple sky now. So lying to yourself, and now you're trying to convince others that it's a purple sky. That's the problem. Then that's when you are really screwed up in the head. People accept self-deceptive lies over discomfort of reality. You're right, Vanessa. It'll catch up to him eventually. Yeah, everything comes back and bites you in your ass eventually, Matt. You know that. Everything's going to come back and haunt you eventually. You know, everybody knows this. So let's move on to our next topic over here. Remember the question. Why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunity? So the first one was honesty threatens comfort. Okay. Truth forces accountability. I love that word accountability. I say that all the time. Accountability. Truth forces accountability. So honesty asks people to look at their choices, contradiction or harm. It's easy to distance themselves from you than to sit with the discomfort. So they call you negative, dramatic, or difficult instead of dealing with the message. Honesty asks people to look at their choices, contradictions, or harm. So in other words, truth forces accountability. Wow, that's deep. I like that. So I've always said you have to be held accountable. Okay? I've said that about every city administration, not just ours, everybody, from administration to law enforcement to paramedics to building department, everybody, residents, especially residents, juveniles, parents, you name it, even your pets, even the dogs and cats. Everybody has to be held accountable for what they do. Okay, if your dog bites somebody, they have to be held accountable. Okay, if your kid steals the car and smashes the car, they have to be held accountable. Your juveniles are fighting, they have to be held accountable. If the mayor shuts down the city hall for God knows what, they have to be held accountable. So, accountability, okay? Truth forces accountability. So, people are looking up and they're telling you the sky is purple when it's actually blue, and you tell them you're wrong, it's blue, I don't care what you say, and you get everybody to tell you no, they're wrong, it is blue. Now you're telling them the truth, it's blue, and now you're holding them accountable. That causes problems. That causes a lot of anger. People get mad at you now because you're telling them, hey, this is the truth. 1 + 1 is 2, 1 + 1 is not 4. So pretty much you're calling them a jackass. You're calling them liars. You're calling them out on the carpet, and people don't like that. So, truth forces accountability. So when you're making people you're holding people accountable for their actions now, and for what they're supposed to be held accountable for. Especially your city administrations, no matter what a city administration is, they're held accountable. They're not going to like this. So they're upset about it now. So when you're trying to make them accountable for the truth instead of their lies and deceptions, they're going to be very angry about that. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, remember the question, because honesty has a price tag. The question was, why does being honest cost you friends, peace, and sometimes opportunity? Peace is often borrowed, not earned. The peace that honesty disrupts is frequently surface level. It's quiet because no one saying the real thing. When you speak honestly, conflict appears. But that doesn't mean you created it. You just turned the lights on. Wow, I like that. When you speak honestly, conflict appears. When you speak honestly, conflict appears. That is so true. That is so true. We know that for a fact, people. When you tell people the way it is, they're gonna hate you to death. They're gonna slam you like crazy. We all know this. We all seen it, and I guarantee it. Most of us have witnessed it firsthand. Wayne, how you doing tonight, Wayne? People don't want you to be honest with them. We all know this. People nowadays in society, they rather have you lie to them because it brings you to their comfort zone, because they're so used to being lied to that they just don't want to hear the truth anymore. And that's where society is so screwed up. They're not used to dealing with people honest. They rather have you tell them 1 and 1 is 4, and they're willing to pat you on the back and say, yes, you're right. They're willing to believe your lies because it'll make them feel better. And they want to be felt, they want to be comfortable. It's like a snuggie to them, you know. So they want to feel at peace with themselves, you know. So it's just, wow, that is, I like that statement. That is a good statement there, you know. It's amazing what you can find out when you do a lot of research here. When you speak honestly, conflict appears, but that does not mean you created it. So give me some examples, people. What do you think? When you speak honestly, okay? It says, when you speak honestly, conflict appears, but that does not mean you created it. Give me some examples of what you think. We all know that this city cannot speak honestly. I've talked to politicians in other cities, and to be honest with you, not one of them could give you an honest answer. That's why I like talking to our police department. You talk to our police officers directly, one-on-one, with no body cam on. They will give you the most direct, honest answer. Like, perfect example today, I talked to the police officer today, and I asked him, I said, do we have a parking ban still, you know, for no parking on the street? He says yes. I said, okay, good. I get 2 messages from 2 different people today. Jim, is there still a parking ban? And I said, yes. I just spoke to the GHPD officer not more than a few minutes ago, and he says we have a parking ban still for the day. I said, all right. They's like, okay, no problem. The one lady messages me back, and she says she just got off the phone with dispatch, and dispatch says, no, there is no parking ban. And I was like, wait a minute, I just asked a police officer, and they said there is. So she calls the service department. Service department says there is a parking ban for the day. So the police officer said there is one. Dispatch says there isn't one. But the service department, so now who are you supposed to believe? Nobody seems to understand or know what each department is talking about, and that's a big problem. What do you say, man? A lot of people judge others. That's how they feel, honest about their opinions. Or dealing with a bunch of low beta males. You know, you're right about that too, Vanessa. So, I mean, why is it that these departments in our city don't seem to understand what each department is? It's like they totally don't know what each department is doing. So you got the police officer saying there's a parking ban. You have dispatch saying no. And then you have the service department saying yes. So who are you supposed to believe? That's my question to everybody out there. Who are you supposed to believe when one department says, 2 departments say yes, 1 department says no? Who are we supposed to listen to? That's a question I'd like somebody to answer. Who are we supposed to listen to if you say the cop says yes, service department says yes, dispatch says no? Are we supposed to take a chance, park on the street, get a ticket? That's the problem. Nobody knows what's going on. I agree, Susan. I think listening to the police, but dispatch is saying no. Listen to you, Matt. There you go. So if you listen to the police and you park your car where you're supposed to park it, but if you park it on the street and somebody calls it in and dispatch is not going to report it to a police officer because they're thinking there's no parking violation, I agree with Hazel. Listen to the one that's going to give you the ticket. I agree. I mean, but my problem is they lack the collective will to just get things done and done right. Why don't my question is why is all our departments so separated? They don't know what each department is doing. They're good at passing a buck. You know, Frank, our city's so broke, I don't think we could pass a buck. Maybe we could pass 50 cents, Frank. We could pass a quarter during poker. But that's the problem, people. Now, one department don't know what the other department is up to. I honestly don't know. I just got a text message from somebody. I don't know who the dispatcher was. I know it was some female, I was told. This was told to me by a text message from another woman. She told me that she called the police department and it was a female dispatcher saying that there was no parking ban. I talked to the police officer who drives around in the cruiser when he was out in front of our house today, and I asked him while he was waiting for the tow truck that's supposed to come tow, and he said there was a parking ban. I forgot the officer's name. I think badge 55 or something like that. I can't remember his badge number, but I was talking to the guy, and he said there was a parking ban. Service department told this lady there was a parking ban, but then dispatchers told her no. Somebody from one of our former council members' family that passed away, God rest his soul. Yeah, I would ask him, definitely. So one of our former council people's family members asked me in a text message, and I said, well, yeah, there is a parking ban still, because that's what I'm going by is what the police officer told me. Or if anybody's asked, somebody sending me a text message, and I'm just reading a text message. But somebody from the police department said, I don't remember the ordinance number, but if there's 3 inches of snow or more, there's a parking ban. It's against the... Frank, there are so many cars on the street right now. They call it a citywide parking ban to where you can't even park on the street right now at all, no matter what, all day long. That's the thing. And there's so many cars on the street, it's just unbelievable. There's so many cars, I think you can fill the Brown Stadium with it. I mean, it's unbelievable. But the thing is, they're actually ticketing these people and then waiting 24 hours or whatever. It took 3 days to tow this car that was in front of my house that's parked backwards. Okay, so that's another long story there. But they finally did tow the car. So, what does Matt say? Remember, that's an old time. This is Matt B's ordinance. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just that you can't just... It's just something else. I mean, let's get back to this one here. Let me get this back up here. So like I said, it was when you speak honestly, conflict appears. Okay. Here's another one. It says, not everyone wants truth. Many want validation. When honesty doesn't affirm someone's self-image or goals, it can feel like betrayal. Even if your intent is care, it may be received as rejection. So when honesty doesn't affirm someone's self-image or goals, it can feel like betrayal. Do you think when you're being honest with somebody, you're betraying them? You know, I've always told this story once, and well, not once, but I've always told this one story. If you're married or you got a girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, and let's say you're going out on a date and your wife is coming out and she's wearing the worst awful dress possible. I mean, it's just hideous. And she asks you, how do I look? Now, are you going to be honest and tell her, look, I wouldn't go out in that outfit? I mean, I'm talking about, let's say she's, for an example, let's say she's wearing a paper bag, a garbage bag. Let's just say a garbage bag. Okay, and it's just disgusting. And she said, how do I look? Are you going to tell her it looks nice and let her go outside in public and be laughed at and mocked at, and people taking pictures and putting on all those social media? Or are you going to be honest and say, hey, look, you look like shit, change that, put on something nice, because people are going to laugh at you. Now, by being honest, okay, according to this, if your honesty doesn't affirm someone's self-image or goals, it can feel like betrayal. Do you think by being honest with your spouse, are you betraying them? Or honest with your partner, are you betraying them? Can honesty feel like you're betraying somebody? That's a good question there, you know? Hazel, you got your hand ready. You know, Hazel's upstairs in the kitchen. I'm downstairs, and that's as far as she can stay right now with this question. And that goes to the point I was talking about earlier. With city council and them and the administration's been lying so much to people, their honesty feels like betrayal to people. You better not answer that question. You're saying it wrong. So, being honest, it feels like you're betraying people. Is that the truth? Do you guys feel like when you're being honest to somebody, you're betraying them? So, I think just be honest across the board. If somebody gets mad, let them deal with it. That's my personal opinion. It all goes to the way this city's run, the way most cities are run. The dress was probably made of... Who designed it? That's $500 him. Vanessa, you're funny. It's just that it goes down to, should honesty be the best policy? You know, I always say yes. Unless you're a politician, then you don't know what honesty really is. System rewards compliance more than integrity. Opportunities, jobs, promotions, social standings often go to people who play along, stay vague, or say the right thing at the right time. Honesty can make you unpredictable. The system hates unpredictability. That one I saved for last. The system hates unpredictability. You know, say the right thing at the right time. Now, does that sound like a true politician or what? Say the right thing at the right time.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you want me to confirm Lakewood?
You know, it's just be yourself. Plain simple, people. Be yourself. Speak your mind. Let it be. People don't like it. It's their problem. Plain simple. If you live by that rule, you'll be fine. Who cares what other people think? None of that other shit matters. So be it. All right? Don't let the other stuff bother you. Everything else is just don't matter in life, you know? Just be yourself. That's that's the best advice you can get and give to people. Just be yourself. We got enough problems around here, especially in this city right now. We got too many juvenile problems. We got too many, especially these group home problems, and right now these Section 8 homes, and it's just one problem after another after another. So, anyways, you guys tell me what you think. I'm watching it. What you're typing here. At the beginning of the show, we talked about the city employees not coming into work. For those who just tuned in, you're taking time off because they told you to stay home, but you're expecting our first responders to drive around in this crappy ass weather all the time. The paramedics, the firemen, the police officers are driving around constantly in this weather. But yeah, city employees get to stay home in their heated houses, and all they have to do is drive from their house to the office and sit behind a desk all day long. So remember that every time you shut down that civic center, the senior center, those seniors that rely on that food for breakfast and lunch, who's giving them that meal? Who's delivering them that meal for that day or 2 days? Or what's to say you shut down for 3 days because of the weather? The schools are shut down. The kids are still running around the streets. So why shut down the schools? When you shut down the schools, they should have a plan B. Every kid should have a tablet. They should be able to do their schoolwork from home. There were schools I saw on the internet. Kids still had to go to school. You wonder why some schools are more successful than others? Well, go look on the internet and see some of those schools that still had school. And look at who they were, and you understand why they're more successful. Because they go to school. Their kids work hard. Stop giving people excuses. Stop giving them free passes. When you give them time off, absolutely. And how about, the warming center, I mentioned that earlier. I looked and I did not see anything about warming centers in Garfield Heights. If I had anything to do with it, this is my honest opinion, if I had anything to do with it, I would have opened up a warming center at the Civic Center to where people were able to spend the night in the Civic Center, bring a sleeping bag, bring a blanket, crash out in the Civic Center overnight, because people needed warming centers in this city. Like I said, I knew people who lost power in their houses. It was before we put our new furnace in our house, the year before last, we lost power for 2 days in winter. It was so cold. I'm talking about extremely cold. So I know what it was like to go without power during wintertime. So we've had it to where when it gets so cold, we know how it feels. Put it that way. I'm going to just leave it at that. So warming centers, I don't remember reading or seeing anything online about Garfield Heights having warming centers. I see other cities had it. I believe Maple Heights had it. So why not us? We pay so much in taxes. We deserve this kind of treatment. We deserve better. But yeah, you're telling our employees, just stay home and, sit at home. But you're telling our police officers, put your lives at risk even more now. Drive around on the icy road conditions. And my only advice, if I could give my 2 cents here, would be to tell the service department, when you're driving around plowing the streets, they're doing as best they could. I give them credit for that. And I repeat that for the people who's going to take this and run with it, and I bring back Garfield. The service department is doing the best they can plowing the streets under these conditions. Okay? Best they can under these conditions. So run with that one. My advice, my suggestion would be drop salt before the stop signs on the streets. I was leaving today, or was it yesterday? No, today. I was going to Ace Hardware to pick up a spark plug for our snowblower, and I was behind this car, and as he was stopping on Tonsing towards Turney, he hit his brakes, and he slid into Turney Road. That's how icy Tonsing was at the time. Now, if you put rock salt down on some of these streets right before 10, 15 feet before the stop sign, you could avoid the ice and these cars could at least stop and not slide into traffic. So that would be my only suggestion. Drop salt. I know they say we got a salt shortage. Drop some salt before the stop signs when they're entering the main highways. That way these cars will not slide into the main road. That's my suggestion. But, you know, nobody listens to me. But that would be my suggestion. That way you can avoid cars from causing accidents. I think that's a good idea. But the warming centers, I think we need warming centers, especially right now. But in order to have warming centers, you got to have the building open. So, and in order to have the building open, you got to have somebody there. And that's the problem. They shut down the building. I don't even think they have maintenance in there. You know, you got to protect Taj Mahal. You can't have nothing else happen. You know, it's very important. But it's just not, my whole thing is, it's just not right to expect all our first responders to put their lives even more at risk. Our city's bad enough the way it is. You're asking them to double their lives at risk by driving around on these icy roads in this kind of condition. But yet, you're telling our secretaries, can you call them secretaries? Whatever. But you're telling them, the city employees who sit in a heated building behind a desk, you're telling them to stay at home because, oh, it's too dangerous for you to drive from your house to come to work and sit inside a building all day. That's my whole damn point here. You treat our police officers like they're dirt. And that's not right. And yes, I'm standing up for our first responders. If anybody has a problem with that, tough shit, I don't care. So when you see a police officer, or one of our first responders, at the newly remodeled pickleball court, whatever the hell it's called, and he's sitting there or she's sitting there, you know, I want everybody who sees them sitting somewhere in the city, I encourage you to drive up to them and say, hey, thank you for your service. And then go on your merry way. If you see them at McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever, buy them a cup of coffee. And thank them for their service. Because you know what? Remember these days to where when the city shuts down, they're on those icy roads, driving around, chasing these morons who want to go on these high-speed chases through the city and God knows where, over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house or wherever the hell they go. And these cops have to go chase after their ass. Remember this stuff. And remember when the mayor don't even want to go to work and he's sitting in his house on his lazy ass. Because, he lives down the street. He don't even want to go to work and open up the office.
Supposedly.
Remember all this. So when you see our first responders out there, thank them. And if you don't thank them, you're nuts. I went outside today. I gave that guy a bottle of water and I thanked him constantly. Because, you know, they deserve it. They constantly drive around in this stuff. I couldn't even walk in the street. That's how icy it was this morning. And you got them driving around all day in this? Even our snowplow drivers. You know, I mean, I give those guys credit. They're driving around in this crap all day. Constantly driving around. And I read constantly everybody on the internet, you know. You know, we have a city of a vulnerable population. Yeah, it's, the city is run by trash, you know. It's called a paddle club. Patty, yeah. It's, Matt, Vanessa, you guys are right, you know. It's just that you have these people complaining you don't see a snowplow on your street. I understand that. You know, Garfield Heights has 7.4 square miles. And I don't know how many snowplows we have out there. Frank, when I used to live there, the police used to stop at the house and your house for coffee. That's because Patty made fantastic cookies. Give me a break, you know. I'd go there for the cookies, you know. Wayne, good idea. You need to let them know they're appreciated. And you know what, Wayne? That is true. But it's days like how do you think they feel when they see that the mayor's telling the secretaries and them, stay home because it's too dangerous for you to drive to work, but yet they're driving around all day, 12 hours for the shift, in these icy roads, responding to these crazy calls. I'm sorry, but if I was a police officer, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, look, this lady here or this gentleman has to drive from their house, and they live in Valley View or Independence or wherever, and they come to sit in this desk all day in a heated building, and that's all they do, and they get to stay home, and I have to drive around on this and risk my life? I'm sorry, I'd be mad. I'd definitely be mad. It would just really irritate the shit out of me. Seriously would. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I would definitely be mad about that because, you know, I'm angry the way it is, just thinking about this. You know, I'm listening to the scanner as we're sitting here, and I'm listening to the scanner that day. Isn't it kind of prejudice that they give some employees off, but ours after work? You know, Frank, I can't answer that. You know, their logic makes no logic. You know, they hire a person to work the basketball courts that they just built, but you only use them 5 months out of the year, 6 months out of the year. So what's he doing for the wintertime to earn his pay? You know what I'm saying? So you pay a guy $55,000 a year to run basketball courts, but they're shut down during the winter months. So what's he doing to earn his paycheck now? So does that make sense? No, it don't make sense. So you can't get answers from anybody, is what I'm saying. You ask questions, nobody wants to give you answers. And just so everybody knows, I put in a public records request with the law department, and it was transferred to Barb Byro's office not too long ago. And I asked for the complete expense report for the last 2 years of the mayor. So I want to know what the mayor's expenses were for the last 2 years of 2024 and 2025. Once I get that, I will bring it out publicly so everybody knows what they were. If I get it. Well, they're going to have to give me some kind of answer. I also asked, and I will talk about this at another time, but that when Wagner sued Clover for being the safety director, they took it to court. I was looking at the court records the other day. The law office was some lawyers who was out of Cincinnati. I read the court dockets and the reason why he sued and all this stuff. And so he sued because Clover had 2 jobs for the city, safety director, mayor, and all that, but nobody's bitching about it. And he was collecting 2 paychecks, and nobody's saying nothing about Burke doing the same thing. So I looked into it, and I asked the city. City council changed they amended the charter to say that he could hold the safety director's position until they find somebody else to have that job. And they amended that back in 2022. So in 2022, City Council amended that position in the city charter to say the mayor can hold that position until they find somebody. So that was back in 2022. And I got all this on the computer, people. It's all right there. So 22, 23, 24, 25. So it's been 3 years, going on 4 years now, that he's holding that position until they find somebody. So we looked it up, and I got it all here, and it's according to the state of Ohio. You cannot make these kind of changes to your charter. Now, these are substantial changes, big changes, okay, without going to the people. So in order to make these kind of changes to your city charter, you have to go to the people to get it voted on. It's all on the computer, everybody. Public knowledge, public record, just look it up. I'm not bullshitting you. Just look it up. So we'll talk about this at another one of our later dates. But the information is there. I will bring it all out. I was doing research all day yesterday about this. They bypassed the voters. Yes, big time. They bypassed the voters. Vanessa, you're right. Something like that has to be voted on by the residents. Without a doubt, we have to vote on something like this. This is definitely Channel 19 newsworthy. So if they said they reworded the city charter so the mayor could hold this position until they find somebody,
Definitely.
my question to the law department was, did they put this job out there for people to apply for it? So my wife looked online and the job is not actually out there. So we looked and the job's not even out there for people to apply for. So apparently they're not looking for anybody. So that's their transparency, their accountability. Vanessa, chapter 39, yes, very, very much so. That is. So I asked the law department, and their response to me was, my request was not a proper request, so they cannot give me the information. And I asked them, you know, hey, are you guys looking for a safety director position? Well, they said it's not a proper public records request, that kind of information. So they will not answer that one. So I was like, okay, no problem. I see where they're going with this one. So the thing is, they changed the city charter. They made an amendment to the city charter without going to the people. I was on the charter review board at the one time, and I understand how it works. So you can't do this according to the state of Ohio. You can't make these kind of changes. I will wind up getting this information and putting it out on my James Unfiltered page so people could read this. Something's not right here, people. The city council is doing things behind our back that I feel is unnecessary, that we have to bring out to the public for people to understand and people to watch. And for the guy who's texting me privately, you know where I'm going with this, absolutely. Am I stirring the pot? No. Am I being an asshole? Yeah. Am I? No, I'm just being transparent. I think if I have to be transparent, we all have to be transparent, and we all have to be honest and stand up for our taxpayer dollars and do what's right for the people. And I've said this before, and I told Vanessa this yesterday. I stuck my neck out so far right now with people in this city that yeah, I fear for my life right now because with the hate that's going out in the social media about me, no, I agree. Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Text Message. No, I agree. I stuck my neck out so far in this city right now. Yeah, I do fear that something might happen to me. Yeah, I do. It's just that we have to not let them keep getting away with what they're doing. They are breaking the law that they swore to uphold. They are not taking their job serious. And we have to hold them accountable for this kind of stuff. And it will get on BBG. I know this. I don't care. Jimmy Crackcorn, and I don't care. But we will continue this conversation shortly. I want to end this podcast soon, but I just want to let you guys know that the opening song is going to be our official theme song for
I don't care.
our podcast show. It's called I Don't Care. Who is it by again?
Kane Walker.
Kane Walker. I don't care. I think Hazel uploaded it onto our podcast show on our website. Is it there?
I have to do the whole thing.
Oh, she didn't do the whole thing, but there's part of the song is up there, and I'll try to get the whole song up there, the video or something, so people can listen to it. That's going to be an official song for the our podcast, just so people can listen to it when they get onto the webpage. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to this interesting Wednesday night show. Make sure you tune in Friday night for Friday Follies. Friday Follies, we're going to award a new Jackass Award, Donkey Award, to a resident or someone in the administration. And like I said, you get to vote on who gets this award. Jim, keep your best friend close by your side. You know what, Sue? I live with my Smith & Wesson 9mm by my side. And I think I have, honestly, I think I have a gun in every room in my house. I don't go anywhere without one. Pretty much, I am covered, Suze. Thank you for your concern. I do not go anywhere without being loaded, locked and loaded. Absolutely. I really do worry because I do have people in this administration that are looking at me crooked-eyed. But, you know, people that know me know I've always been an outspoken person my whole life, and that's the way it is. They might want to Charlie Kirk my ass. Who knows? But you know what? I'm going to go down fighting no matter what, and I'm always going to speak the truth here. And the thing is, tune in, like I said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Tune in Friday, 7:30 for Friday Follies. Hopefully Victor will be back and not take his wife out to dinner again. You know, come on, you see her all day long. You don't have to take her out for dinner, you know. Let her. I hope she spent money on you and took you out to dinner. So, but anyways, tune in Friday night, Friday Follies. You never know what's going to happen on a Friday Follies show. Might be something interesting. We're trying to try and get a special guest besides Victor and Matt here. You never know who might pop in. Maybe the dogs will be here again. Might have a little mystery guest with a little bag over his head or something like that. We never know who's going to show up here. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay safe, stay warm. And like I said, when you see our first responders out there, take your time out of your day. Stop. Thank them for what they do because they definitely deserve it. Give them a bottle of water. Take them out for a cup of coffee. Give them a McDonald's gift card or something. I'm going to end my show like I always end my show. And like I said, it's always better to be the rider than being the donkey. So we got a lot of donkeys in this city, everybody. Good night. Stay safe. Stay warm. God bless you guys. God bless Garfield Heights. Thank you for watching James Unfiltered.